Well, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. As leaders from 13 nations gather in Dubrovnik, Croatia for the annual Three Seas Initiative Summit, they come together under intensifying pressure from energy shocks, shifting global trade routes, and renewed transatlantic tensions. Now, in its 11th year, the initiative is being tested on whether it can move beyond declarations into sustained delivery. Now, with new strategic partners entering the fold, we'll discuss now how relevant and effective this initiative is in 2026. And joining us now is Tomasz Kasprowicz, editor-in-chief of Publica Nowa. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
All right, so let's do a little bit both things, history and modernity. Looking back 11 years, how successful or unsuccessful and how relevant is this initiative today?
Not very. As most of the regional initiatives in the region, the Three Seas are not delivering much. Even the smaller one, like V4 initiative, is mostly dead for several years now. This is mostly because the countries of the region have a very divergent interest and a very divergent orientation towards various partners. And that's why it's very hard to coordinate almost anything between those countries. That's why the Three Seas initiative that was initially designed a little bit like an alternative to European Union, mostly by far-right parties, ended up being yearly summit and coordination of some infrastructure projects, of which many are not completed or not even started yet. Still, it is important to notice that those initiatives, those infrastructure initiatives are very important and could benefit the region very significantly, because it is for many decades or even centuries lacking infrastructure going from north to south, concentrating mostly east-west infrastructure. So those are very needed, and this is one common goal that might be fulfilled in the future.
Mm-hmm. And as you said there, I think the original idea also is very much, as you said, about infrastructure connecting that north-south corridor. If we're looking at the Baltics all the way down to the Adriatic and the Black Sea. But as you said, divergent interests now with Greece included as well, strategic partners. We're also hearing that Turkey is now in the mix as a strategic partner. But then again, I mean, is this an asset of this sort of, let's say, initiative, or is this more of a hindrance?
I would say, well, it is always good to have a place to discuss, to coordinate a little bit. So I would not discount those yearly meetings as a fruitless endeavor. This is how diplomacy is made. Let's not forget one of the strategic partners is Japan, which is quite exotic in this framework. But we have to take into consideration that the region needs some common platform to, even if it's not unified, to look as somewhat coherent geographical unit, and those meetings are such occasion. But we should not expect any groundbreaking decisions and changes from this initiative, because it's an initiative for now. It's not even an organization. Any news about formalizing this organization and giving it some actual prerogatives, that would be a big news from this summit. But I do not expect such news.
Mm-hmm. And also one thing to point out, I'm curious to get your view on it. If you look back, it was in the early days, it was 2017, where this already garnered support from the United States, from Trump. In his first term, he actually came to one of the summits, also pledged some investments into, there's a lot of investment required, as we said. I mean, building up this infrastructure is expensive. But since then, if we're looking at the United States role at the moment, how would you characterize it? If we're looking at, I think, confirmed right now U.S. attendance, we have the Undersecretary of State, Allison Hooker, to travel to this. I mean, I think they were expecting the president at least. So what do we think of U.S. involvement? How important is that?
Well, this organization is important from the point of view of Trump only as far as it can weaken European Union. Since it became clear Three Seas Initiative has no such ambitions and no such purpose and no such strength to do so, clearly the interest of the American administration diminished. So that's how we went from president to undersecretary. That's a huge step down. And I would say it's probably reflecting the importance of this organization for US in particular at this point, since we know that in its strategy, President Trump still is playing on a weakening European Union, but now was looking at using a particular states to do so, among others, Hungary and Poland, surprisingly enough. But not Three Seas Initiative. That's clearly not well suited for such a task.
Mm-hmm. And also, if we're looking a little bit back, I mean, do we have any sort of tangibles for successes of what the initiative is actually approved? I mean, there was this investment fund, but if we're looking at road projects, for instance, the Via Carpathia, I think that was mostly with EU funding. So where are the successes, if we can point to some of these? Are there successes from this initiative these last 11 years?
Looking broadly, this is a little bit dated data, but the initiative had like 50 projects that were submitted and approved, and by 2021 only 3 of them were actually completed, and further 14 were initiated. So as we can see, those are not really successful, projects. Via Carpathia being probably the most important one of those, and this is the road that should go from Baltics all the way to Balkans. This is not going as fast as it should. Again, the level of investment that is necessary is quite significant. Let's hope this will go much faster and much better in the future. However, taking into consideration increasing tensions in the region and also problems with the general world economy associated with war, another energy crisis, we may see a slowdown in those investments, especially that, as I mentioned before, the east-west infrastructure has much higher priority because so far it's much more important for the economic development of those countries. That may change when the new infrastructure is completed, because it will open new opportunities. But this is uncertain at this point. That's why the investment is not pouring as much as it probably should.
Mm-hmm. And what about the public's perception of this? I mean, you said this is not an organization as of yet, it's an initiative. These summits are usually high level, but does the public in the region understand what this actually does? I mean, how do you see this actually, or how do you see it, let's say, in the next few years? Will there be more support for this? What's lacking in making this more, let's say, something tangible for people to understand?
Well, firstly, it's to a large degree a political issue. So we have right-wing parties that are trying to present Three Seas Initiative as some kind of counterbalance to European Union that is supposedly dominated by Germany. And when it's positioned this way, it's gaining traction and support from the right-wing electorate. But at the same time, it's getting a little bit of a cold shoulder from the liberal electorate. So it became, to a large degree, a political issue for those that are even aware it exists. Let's face it, it's not the most popular organization or most discussed topic in Central Europe. This is unfortunate because we can clearly see that this level of cooperation or even deeper cooperation within the region could be very beneficial. So making it another point of those political wars and making it a victim of political cycle and whoever is in power is definitely not something that this initiative could use. And as I said, this can be really useful for the region, even if only at the level of infrastructure.
All right. So just final thing, I think you said you don't expect any major announcements, but yet this could be a forum where, I'd say, important things are at least discussed. We'll see what comes out of it as this 11th year of the initiative takes place in Dubrovnik. Thanks so much for that. It was insight here by Tomasz Kasprowicz, editor-in-chief of Publica Nova. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.